So, last class we had discussed about what is globalization and what are the features of globalization. Today we'll be discussing about the stages of globalization. That is, when a company has to become a global company, what are the stages? So, here are four stages mentioned. So, every company that today is a global or a world famous company or a corporation first started as a domestic company and then moved on to become an international and then a multinational and then become a global company. So these are the four stages where the company becomes global. Let's look into each of the stages. The first one, domestic. As I just told you, every famous or the world famous corporation was first a local company or a domestic company in a home country, right? Where the business, the strategies, the products, the services they offer the customers were all doing well in the market or a particular state or particular city, right? And gradually it began to grow or expand its operations across the home country, right? From city to city or from a state to state, it covered its operations, right? Or expansion of its operations throughout the home country. That is, their goods and services began to grow in demand amongst the customers. So the market potential under the first stage is definitely limited to just the home country. So here the company is trying to focus and get the attention or get the demand within a particular home country. So all the facilities such as production, marketing, financing, right? All these facilities are definitely located and operating at the home country. So from being a domestic or a home country company, next step or next stages, they move to become an international company. Now, in the second chapter, we have studied modes of entry into international business. We have studied various modes over there, right? Exporting, franchising, licensing, foreign direct investment, joint venture, contract manufacturing, etc. Now, here we are focusing that companies now have a good, establishment of their respective company in the home market, and now they want to move to the next neighboring country. That is, it is entering an international market, right? So, for the purpose of extension or expansion of their operations, they enter into a new country or a new economy. Okay, so definitely once they are very much comfortable with their business operations and strategies at home country, they would not like to start a full-fledged business in an international level. Therefore, they enter these overseas market or over the boundaries market with low risk and less resources. It is very important because you, without knowing or understanding completely the foreign market, you cannot enter with all your resources, right? So therefore the company always starts off with lesser resources. If it deals with 10 products or 10 service lines, it will start with one product and one service. So that way the risk is also low and the resources they are using to enter the international market is also low. So that way the company, yes, has expanded, and company, yes, has been careful with their resources and their products. Okay, so this is the second stage, international stage. Number three, multinational. So once they have proved themselves or once they have established a good market in the neighboring country, then they move on to several neighboring countries. Okay. Now, if from India a company has moved out in terms of export, in terms of franchising to the country Nepal, and yes, the market has proved to be successful in Nepal. So from there, now the company will move on to Japan or Germany or France or USA, Pakistan, right? It moves to multinationals. That's the meaning, right? From one country where it started and it's been successful in the market, it will move to several economies or several nations. So it begins to carry out its own manufacturing, marketing, and sales in the key foreign markets. Now, what we read in the second stage, that is international level, everything is at the home country, right? The major base is at the home country, only a part of it may be exported. But here under multinational, the company is growing tremendously, right? So instead of having all the setup that is, in terms of finance, marketing, sales at the home country, the company now moves on the manufacturing and the marketing sales departments into various nationals or various economies, right? It may set up its manufacturing unit in Japan or manufacturing unit in USA, right? So its operations completely move out of the home country, right? So that is why it says it sets up in foreign markets. What is a foreign market? Anything apart from your home country market. Now, here the business is definitely supported with research and development and engineering. Now, talking about a local sales market and talking about a multinational market is way two different things, right? There are a lot of things that you need to consider when you're moving from a country to country in terms of business activities, because you need to do your own research. Yes or no? You need to do your own research in terms of market, in terms of you know um, the likes and dislikes of a particular country, or what is their savings habit, what is their purchasing capability, right? The currency changes, the most important thing, right? The currency fluctuations, the government regulations, all this have to be kept intact as and then you move into new economies. They provide support functions such as personnel and finance to all the overseas activities. So here companies from the home country, they have to provide the separate personal activities. That means they can't keep sending from the home country laborers across. No, they have to take or employ people from those respective countries. Now, if I'm setting up a store in USA, I need to take employees or laborers from that particular country, right? So I need to provide all the activities necessary for a smooth flow of the business. It can be in terms of finance, it can be in terms of advertisement, right? In all the aspects, the company has to support to continue its existence in the multinational. Then comes the fourth stage, that is globalization, where the company moves towards a global mode of operation. So, no more it is called as home country and foreign country. Now, the existence of this company is on a global level, right? So, no more it is called as home country or foreign country, it is called now as a global market or a global economy. So the company takes into account both similarities as well as the differences across different market. So I need to keep in account, right? What are the similarities in the market across the countries or across the globe, and what are the minor differences that we can observe and that we need to take into account? Because even though we talk about global market, yes, there is a minor or major differences we can see in terms of marketing, in terms of sales, etc. So we need to understand both the ways, what are similar across the nations, what are the differences that we can find, and accordingly we need to adapt or prioritize our business strategies. So the firm attempts to combine the global efficiencies. So now the company's presence is on a global level. Therefore, we understand the various efficiencies of people in different countries, right, or teams or departments. So I need to combine all these efficiencies together, right, and also I need to understand the local responsiveness, right, that is the customer responsiveness. How's the customer responding? Is the customer happy with the product, right, happy with the kind of service we are rendering? And sharing knowledge across different subsidiaries. So, in one particular country, if a certain idea or a strategy has worked so well, so we'll try and implement the same idea or strategy in another subsidiary or in another, branch or expansion of the company. So, the firm attempts in this particular stage, we are going to combine the efficiencies, that is the strengths or the milestones that we have had and the respondents of the customers, and also sharing the knowledge of what works best for the company, right? In all the aspects we need to know what works best for the company, right? How can the company stand first or as a pioneer in a particular market, right? You're dealing in an FMCG market, in a pharmaceutical, or in an automobile industry, in any industry, every company focuses to be the number one, correct? So only when does it happen? The number one, when it combines and when it shares the knowledge across different subsidiaries, right? So those were the four different stages of globalization. Domestic, right, then moves to international, then multinational, then becomes global company. Next up, we have three major areas upon which we need to focus on if you're moving as a global company, right? In terms of production, in terms of investment, in terms of technology, right? How do things or how do decisions move across in these three priority areas? Okay, so today we'll be studying about the globalization of production concept alone. Now, it means the world has become a global village, and now the producers can get the benefit from different culture and the cheap labor all around the world. As I told earlier, in the stages of globalization, as and when the company expands and grows, you automatically have to set up manufacturing units or marketing units in different economies. Okay, so that's why we call it as a global village, right? Now we have producers or manufacturers across the globe. It is not like you're manufacturing one particular locality and then selling it across the globe. No, that is highly impossible. When a company moves to become a global company, it needs to have its own producers or manufacturing units in different countries, so that way it can get the benefit of different culture, different the strengths of the people, or the availability of cheap labor or low cost labor around the world, because we all know which countries are rich in labor, which countries are rich in capital. Do you remember the theories we studied in the first unit, right? So there we studied which is a capitalistic economy or a labor centric economy, right? We need to apply that when we are moving into a global economy or a global company. So in order to establish this, definitely the company has to look for the availability of high quality raw materials. Okay, just because we need to set up manufacturing units everywhere, or we should not compromise on the quality. We need to check where does the availability of high quality raw materials are available. So based on that, we can set up the manufacturing units. And we also need to check what is the availability of inputs at a low cost. As I told, it can be in terms of finance, it can be in terms of capital, right, in terms of labor or worker. And the major point here is I have to reduce my transportation cost. So setting up manufacturing unit in one particular country and selling or exporting it to all the countries is very difficult task. So my transportation and the logistic management becomes very challenging. Therefore, I need to keep in point that I reduce the cost of transportation or the logistics has been easily managed. So production may be more favorable in foreign countries rather than in home country. So we come to this conclusion only when there is manufacturing available at a lower cost in foreign markets. So this way the company can definitely reduce the cost of production. Now, what are the major advantages over here? Advantage of labor, as I just mentioned to you, there are countries that are abundant in labor, right? Example, our own country, India has abundant labor. We have skilled labor, we have unskilled labor, we have professional labor, right? We have semi-skilled labor. Yes or no? So likewise, many countries are skilled in terms of labor or have an abundance in labor. Second, increased production capacity. So when you get production or when you get the inputs at a lower cost, then automatically the production capacity with the advantage of labor, it will be more efficient. Okay, what in home country you had to produce 100 units of goods comes up to the cost of 1 lakh. Same production, if you move on to a particular foreign market, you can produce the same 100 units with half the cost, right? That makes sense, right? That is called as increased production capacity. Please note, we are telling that the cost of production is reduced, but not the efficiency, but not the quality of the materials we are using. Greater competition. Now, globalization definitely will lead to a greater competition because I'm not competing with the local markets or the local traders in my home country, but I'm competing with the other professional traders or professional companies across the globe, and each company will have its own standards, its own strengths and strategies. So that way, on a global level, the competition becomes really efficient because each company wants to do a better job than its competitor. That way, both the companies are striving to do their best. Increased economies of scale. That is, definitely our production is increasingly specialized. So globalization enables the goods to be produced in different parts of the world, right? So this greater specialization enables, now when I talk about economies of scale, I'm talking about the overall cost, right? So it enables the average cost to be lower. That way, who is the most benefited when the cost is low? The customers, because customers can avail the goods at a lesser price without compromising on the quality of the product, quality of the service. Okay, so that's about the globalization of production. Next up, we'll discuss globalization of investment and globalization of technology.